Hello, everyone. Welcome to Highwire Improv Online. We are really excited to start off something new for you this evening. This is Walking the Talk. This is our new panel slash interview discussion program that we are looking to do weekly from here on out. We are really excited to kick this off. For those of you who are coming to us from a new link, potentially from one of the many Facebook groups that are available online. If you haven't seen us before, we are Highwire Improv. We are a very young online first improv theater that was formed in Baltimore in September, and we've been doing our first season of programming here over the past month or so, and really working to build out a new improv organization that will start online, but eventually move to in person whenever the world allows that to happen. And we want to do it in the best way possible. And there are a wealth of people and resources out there to learn how to do improv theaters better. And we want to talk to them. We want to walk the talk. We want to show people that we are learning how to do this in the best way possible, and we are making changes. If you go on our website, two of our core values are transparency and action. And those are embodied in tonight's program and the series that we're kicking off here. We want to show you what it's like to make changes. We want to show you what we're trying to do to make things better. And we want to take action based on feedback and input that we get from the broader improv community. There's so much opportunity for greater collaboration among improv theaters, among arts organizations, among nonprofits. And we really want to take advantage of that. So thank you all for coming. If you're checking this out live, great. You are literally the first people to ever see it. If you're seeing a recording, thanks for checking us out on YouTube, and come back. See us again, see improv shows, see improv discussion, and soon see classes and workshops on our website as well. That's more than enough about me and about Highwire and about Walking the Talk. This only works if we have great guests and experts in the area of improv and running theaters and putting shows up online and all the new things we're experiencing in 2020. So we're really excited to have today with us our first guest, Faustino Solis, who's from the Inner City Long Form Jam, which is a massive online improv group that formed this year. Come on to the virtual stage for us, if you don't mind, Faustino.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Really excited. That was my kind of headline intro. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your improv background, and then we will get into everything inner city and what it's been like to start something new in 2020.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm actually
Sure.
to remind me, I'm gonna put my pronouns on here in the city where I'm
Oh,
from.
perfect.
Because that's a thing that's been normal in the last few months, and I just woke
Absolutely.
up in there. But there's a reason for it too, though. So yeah, I started improv relatively late compared to some of the people I've seen.
Yeah.
I started like May of 2016, I think. I had kind of knew what improv was. I'd moved to Vegas by way of Buffalo in 2012, and somewhere down the line, a friend of mine introduced me to like an improv show, which I was super fascinated by, like giving suggestions as an audience member. And we all know
Yeah.
like those things where it's like we want to test the people that were being performed at. Be kind to your performers if you're an improviser. So I at some point before my first workshop, so I work at a church as a choir director, and down
Wow.
the street, like maybe a block or so, there was a bar that had like college kids doing improv, and my friend Crystal, who was going to school with me, kept asking, "Hey, come to this bar, watch an improv show." And then me and my friend Alex were like, "But it's like right in the middle when we're doing churchy stuff." So we would either go sneak in before that or catch the end side of it, and it was just two teams, like kind of comedy sports style.
Yeah.
I was so fascinated by it, and then I'd always ask the ref, "Hey, how can I try this?" And then for whatever reason, I got this weird response, but most of the time he was like, "No," which I thought was strange because
The
he's like,
classic improv response.
yeah, I was like, I wasn't sure because I think it was like a specific group that had been together, and I was like, no, you gotta be at practice and stuff. And then I finally got an ad on Facebook for like a 2-hour workshop for like $5.
Nice.
and like in this restaurant that is now defunct. But I was like, me and my friend Alex were like, $2, like $5 for like a 2 hour workshop. Like sounds great. So we started
Yeah.
doing it in the summer of 2016. Eventually found Vegas Theater Hub in Vegas again
Nice.
through Facebook, and then did the classes there. Um, participated in jams, and at some point, and then one cool fact was Liz Allen used to live in Las Vegas for a period of time before she moved. And I got to be in a line game with her during her going away party, which I
Oh my
thought was
goodness.
uh,
Tell the people at home who Liz Allen is for those who don't know.
oh god, I wish I can say it. I'm gonna butcher it really hard. Um,
That's why I asked you.
Liz Allen, from what I understand, is like one of the great gurus of
Yeah.
improv in the world. That she coached the actors and actresses on
Yeah.
Twice, and apparently there's a story where like Ira, like they were going to like this talk with Ira Glass at this Roadhouse theater, and Liz Allen got to go backstage, and her family was surprised to see Ira Glass. Was like, "Oh my god, nice to meet you," as opposed to the other way. But her idea of stuff with group mind like influenced really heavily on the Vegas community, which is
Nice.
what like people don't really know about Vegas improv. But then, because of her, like they're some of the greatest players in the country. So, anyways, I'm gonna try to skip ahead really quickly. Long story short,
Yeah.
2017, went to LA to watch a taping of a show. Booked the hotel right next to UCB Sunset in LA, which is
Nice.
like a hotel that literally the front door is always open. Anybody can walk into this hotel. Got to watch musical improv for the first time, which is a team from Musical Megawatt from Magnet happened to be in
Yeah.
LA at the time. MD was Sam Tony, yeah, Sam Janitis in LA, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is a thing. And being a classical musician, it's like I didn't know this was a thing. Talked to them, and then bought myself the piano that's at my desk right now. And it got sent me on this journey of having to like travel around the country twice or three times, figuring it. Like there's whole stories underneath that, but like
Yeah.
um, I went to every single second city at one point. They were like,
Get a
we
punch card.
yeah, like they basically were like, there's an MD, we don't know what to do with them, so we're just gonna pawn them off on our MDs or like a smaller MD. So those people end up being the basis of how I learned. I basically had to like kind of go out and train myself on
Yeah.
how to be an MD, and then from there I got to meet a lot of people at festivals here in Vegas and just out and abroad from traveling just to see like I happen to be in the city. So the piano got me connected to everybody I know up to this point. So I actually, even to this day, I still play piano more than I do improv.
Yeah. That's really cool, and it's interesting. Your story is unlike I think most people who come up in improv who get really entrenched in one scene and kind of really get a long period of time in one place, and maybe they move and stuff like that. But you've kind of really done the tour of the country and kind of exploring musical improv, which is really cool. And yeah, if you haven't heard, if you may have not seen Faustino on some of the High Wire improv shows this season, but you've absolutely heard him because yeah, you have been playing, doing music for a couple of the programs this season. Talk us for a second just through your Zoom battle station here. It's one of the more dense setups that I've seen.
Yeah, part of the reason why was at the beginning of the pandemic when we started in our city, it was just me in my living room. So normally all this equipment lives in my car, and
Okay.
what I do with this. So I set it up in front of I have like an upright piano, and I thought this looks kind of cool. So I
Nice.
set all my stuff in front of it, and it became a cool background. And I thought, okay, if I'm gonna be in front of the computer all the time, I should make it look kind of nice. So then I used to be perched up, like I had the piano, I had like some plants or whatever. Um, at some point, I bought the Mac that I have now, and realizing like I had to reorganize my room. Like there was no way I was gonna keep like all this tech computer stuff in my living room. My mom would kill me. So I've never said this before, so or some people know this. I'm actually the condo I live in is technically my mom's first and mine second, so I kind of get
Yeah.
lucky with that. So I still have to keep the place kind of the way she wanted to, but never had my own space.
Right.
I made a decision I had to move all my stuff in my room. I never, I my rooms growing up, and I'm like 28 now, used to be just there. So part of this is I never, as a kid, like growing up, ever got a chance to decorate my room the way I wanted to.
Yeah.
So, a couple of things. I love watching sports, so I always have these like teams jerseys. But also, I teach elementary music, K-5.
Oh, wow.
I know a lot of the kids are into YouTube, so I thought I
Yeah.
should turn my setup into YouTubers, like a
Yeah. I get the YouTube Twitch vibe for sure. That's awesome.
yeah.
Um,
I'll even show you really quickly. Like,
yeah.
it's a little messy right now because I'm doing some other stuff. But like, yeah, I get all this like,
Oh, wow.
it's pretty elaborate setup now.
That's really cool.
All my um like a repressed child's, now I get to do whatever, and then now it's like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there.
Nice.
But yeah, it looks appealing, and I'm proud of it.
Very cool. Well, awesome. Let's dive into inner city. Tell us a little bit about what inner city long form is and how it got started and why this? Why now?
Right. So inner city long form improv jam
Yeah.
is a full one. It's kind of a mouthful, but for whatever reason, this feels like
I like it because it's memorable. Like nobody's gonna forget that it exists, given the length of the Facebook group name.
yeah. I think the first um it came out of uh how do I there's, I'm trying I don't want to say too many details about it because there's so much to
That's
talk.
fine. Yeah. Well, we'll get
Um,
into it. Yeah.
I had just come back from New York. I went to travel with my team one take for the New York Musical Festival. Those who have been in that festival, it was scary. I
Yeah.
was standing underneath the Magnet Theater when they shut down the festival and the theater.
Yep.
In perspective,
Yeah. We had a
and
bunch of people from Baltimore find out on the bus as it was like pulling into New York that it was getting canceled. So yeah, a lot of stories about that festival. So okay, so we're talking about mid-March, right when everything is happening. Yeah. Wow.
Did they turn around and just go back, or did they actually stay in New York for a little bit?
Some of them turned around and went back, and some of them stayed in New York and just kind of hung out basically in the Airbnb that they were already going to book anyway. Yeah.
So one of the most powerful moments that I will have of 2020 is if
Yeah.
personally Facebook friends with me, and if you're not, you can still see this. There's I don't know, just I'm being weird about it. So there's on my cover photo, there's a picture from that event. It was these two people from Chicago. I'm gonna butcher this. Holly and Drake, or Holly and Chris. I know one of them is Holly. But they're from First Beat in Chicago.
Yeah.
Stacy Smith was the coach, so I love them dearly. They came by. They both were like, everyone came all this way for a festival, and they shut down the theater. So we should keep the festival going, or at least like let's meet up and perform for ourselves.
Yeah.
And that nowadays it feels like highly irresponsible and but at the time it was just shut down. No one had really said anything, so they were
Right.
like trying to message everybody they could of like, hey, we just booked this ballet room in Upper Manhattan, or like
Oh my
mid
goodness. Yeah.
the 52nd, and then like they got a hold of me and they're like, hey, we heard you're a musical director, and I'm like, yes, I am. So whoever was there, like about 50 or so who were left, we did like a 2 hour or an hour and a half or 2 hour performance.
Wow.
Little like New York dance studio. And so the photo is like at one point it's like they shut off all the lights just to be dramatic, and everyone took phones out and like started illuminating the stage, which is super cool. Oh, there's the photo.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That is incredible.
I did. So, oh, gosh, name it.
TJ. Is this you?
Yeah, that's me.
No way.
So, and also my iPad is like to the left of there because I happen to have it, and I'll live stream this. But yeah, that's TJ right there with the phone. I forgot what team this is. I know the guy. One of them's from Chicago.
Yeah.
But anyways, it was like in the midst of like this is like a worldwide tragedy. Like I felt like this photo for me was like because this was on the outbreak, was like one of the most memorable because we all came together
Yeah.
in this crazy dark moment. So there's that.
That is
Um,
amazing.
so when I got back, I was like, so improv had started shutting down around us,
Yeah.
and people were like, we still want to play, want to connect with each other. There were rumors going around that people we just jumped on into improv, and actually, um, the Magnet Theater I think was the first theater to do musical improv online. They
Yeah.
don't, is it people, no one really knew what Zoom was. They had already done stuff. I checked them out. It was crazy. Frank Spitznagel, who's the music director there, like everyone, like world famous guy,
Yeah.
uh, was sending me schematics of like how do we put the piano through Zoom. I was like, this is a lot, and I
That is
still
incredible.
that's a whole separate issue. Anyways, so I saw them; they were doing stuff like some of the major theaters had already started going on Zoom because a lot of them already had access to it.
Right.
And I was like, I want to play, but I found out at the time, and I'm not trying to bash anybody. What I noticed was a lot of time for people who started on Zoom for improv back in March. It was either you had to pay for a class or you had to have been on a house team, like a trusted member
Oh,
to
yeah.
perform online. So at the time, there weren't that many opportunities for people to play just to play.
Right.
So there was like a paywall or like a thing, or like paying was involved. So I was just like, for me, I just want to play. Like I didn't want to have to pay for a workshop. Um, and mind you, like Inner City wasn't like the first one, but it was definitely in that wave of
Yeah.
people offering things. So I thought, okay, let's check to see what Vegas is doing. Vegas had basically just shut down, and I was like, anybody want to play? And like maybe one or two people. I'm like, we can't play with just one or two people. So I reached out to two people. One of them is Drew Ludwig of Comedy Sports Buffalo,
Hmm.
because you saw in the back, I'm from Buffalo. There's the
Yep.
Sabre. Wanted to get involved because like I've never actually played with people in Buffalo outside of Comedy Sports, and then from there I only played the piano for them.
Yeah.
Then the second one I asked was Ben Amiri, who is from Well No Strangers in Pittsburgh, which is significant because I love Pittsburgh for a number of reasons, but the jam Inner City is partially modeled after one of their jams that they do as a community, and I'll get
Interesting.
there in a second.
Yeah.
So there was just a few people from Pittsburgh, a few people from Buffalo, a couple people from Vegas, and I'd posted out. So we think we got like 20, 25 people in a room. And then we was like, how do we do this? We basically ran the format of what the Pittsburgh Jam is as just like I think the ad was like long form improv jam, and I found some people's photos and like let's have like, and they're all Vegas people, but it's like different people. Like one of them looked like Smeagol with like a Facebook filter. My friend Ian, curious thing, or it's like let's make it kind of sound cool and like let's all come together. And then we played, and the format's always been like 4 jam sets. I think I even tried putting the piano through. There's no recording of it.
Yeah.
But afterwards, I was like, this could be a thing because people were like, "Hey, thanks for setting this up." So I thought, okay, we can make this into a weekly thing. So I thought, what's the thing that's like we're all in common, and it's the fact we came from like different cities across North
Right.
America, and then intercity is versus intra-city, which is like
Right.
within the same city, and then intercity is like because we're pulling from like literally across city to city, and also, and I've also realized halfway through, like in by of like intercity kind of has a negative connotation where it's like part of like inner city. It's like specifically urban, like underprivileged populations, like living in this
Right.
city. But I also thought, that kind of works too because one of the things was like everyone should have the ability to play regardless. So the name in itself worked out because of like we're literally just anybody who wanted to play without having to like to have a place to perform without having to like have all these struggles of like going through these hurdles. Just show up and we got you. And I think only twice in the time we've been around, we've ever turned away people, and it was just because of max capacity, and we were
Wow.
already moving around, or we were just moving along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's remarkable. I mean, that's it's really cool to see how like your background and kind of training in a bunch of different places led to this network of people and bringing them together in a number of different places, as opposed to like what you said, which is exactly what I experienced initially. It was like each theater was kind of doing their own thing, whether they were trying to just like quickly pivot to keep their revenue going and say, here are our shows, they're online now, or just because they didn't have a different model. But the one of the things we're coming to find with all this online improv is the possibility for accessibility is just orders of magnitude better in terms of where can I take a workshop from, or how can I get the opportunity for people to do this to a much wider audience much more easily. It's really fantastic.
Yeah, it was just like some of the people, especially in Buffalo, because I'd just been stuck there. So after New York, I got stuck in Buffalo. I went because my parents lived up there.
Yeah.
I'd only seen those people like a week before, and now I'm doing improv with them like just the week after on Zoom. Is pretty remarkable. So it's
Wow.
like it gave us access to like things that we've never like basically I said like it's a wide audience and we can tinker with other things. One of the things I tell people nowadays, or sorry, like I want to continue the story, but there's other stuff going on. But like
No, it's okay.
I used to teach a thing called musical improv lab, which used to be me trying to teach musical improv workshops online just to get people to at least try it.
Yeah.
One of the things I used to tell people, and it stems from this guy named Fabio. I'll say his name only because it's like I love the guy, and
Yeah. No, please plug away.
yeah, Fabio was actually at the first workshop I ever took. But Fabio, for whatever reason, has some difficulty communicating. He has a very thick, I think, Italian accent.
Yeah.
A little stubborn at times, and sometimes people don't want to play with him. But because especially I have a affinity for him, he started improv. He was doing it when I started improv, so I always like playing with him. Um, and I didn't like the fact that people were making fun of him, but to the point where like I wasn't like comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Treat Zoom like an improviser you've never met before and just learn how to play with them, and then everybody can enjoy the experience. Like
I
get a,
love that.
so it's like people even to this day people are like bashing like musical improv on Zoom can't work, or like because of the lag like we can't have the full perfect experience. But then again, what improv experience is perfect?
Exactly.
We had Baby Wants Candy, like that was a special arrangement. I appreciate Sam. I forgot his last name. Sam, the producer for Baby Wants Candy, on
Yeah.
um, a special thing. We arranged it. We got them to play like one of the world's best musical improv
Yeah.
teams, and that worked out. So you can't tell me that musical improv doesn't work. It's just the mechanics aren't the same, but like you just find ways of just rehashing out what you want to do.
Well, right. It's like saying that the Herald doesn't work. It's there are many ways to tackle these things, and it might not look exactly the same, but you can make something great out of it. Yeah, if you even if Zoom makes it hard for two people to sing simultaneously, you can find a way around that or use that. And that's a great philosophy of treating Zoom or whatever technology you're using as another kind of improviser. I really like that phrasing.
Oh yeah.
So where is Inner City now? Like what's kind of the scope of it? I see a huge amount of activity on the Facebook page. I see the regular kind of jams, and I know that there are now some kind of actual troops. But tell me a little bit more about kind of what it's grown into.
Yeah, it probably important to mention where it started from. It's literally just me doing everything. At some point, I think the fourth week, when we started doing headliners, my internet crashed because I got someone told me, I'm not gonna say their name, put an Ethernet cord through it so it's faster. It just shot. I was panicking in the middle of the jam. So
Oh no.
again, Ben and Mary from Pittsburgh and Michael Strauskas from San Francisco
Yeah.
were like, send us the documents on your phone and we'll take care of it. So they did it for me, and then a bunch of people were saying, you can't do this by yourself.
No. Wow.
It's like you can't do this by yourself, and I realized you're right, I can't do this by myself. So along the line, we found people that wanted to just help out. there was a little packet of like I just really liked our group and we're having a lot of fun as a friendship, but then I realized lately, as of recently, within the last couple of weeks, it's going to keep growing, and
Yeah.
because of the community, have to treat it like if you call yourself a community, you better stick to your word and at least try to get as many people involved as possible. So now it's gone to not just the inner city long form improv jam. Um, it's expanded from just doing 4 jam sets to now two non-musical, two musical. So there's a joke of like musical or non. We've started including sketches. So it's
Yeah.
another way of like getting people included and like getting exposure and helping them out. So we're still looking for video sketches. So if anyone's watching, submit to Intercity.
Very cool.
And then headliners, uh, not only just like people that we know, but also just like teams that may have not played yet online.
Yeah.
I'll say that I'll take credit for helping some theater, like some individual players or theaters, like rethink it and then get started with it. So actively looking out for different teams that not only are needing help getting stage time, but also trying to find or program people to have unique forms, just so that people who've never heard of other people before, can get exposed to different styles. Like we got a group, Wikipedia, that's basically like slong. It's all form. They basically use the game with Wikipedia and they turn into a long form, and it's one of
Whoa.
in the world, I think, because it's such a unique format. So it's there, and then we've broken up to like now we have more than just those jams. Now we have Toast and Jam, which was it's not. I had to step down from it for schedule wise, so Michael Rakowski's running it.
Yep.
Uh, 3 rounds of long form, but I've noticed that a lot of people just want to play and they don't care if people are watching them or not. So
Right.
let's just send them in a breakout room, and that's perfect. So in that format, every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern, um, any number of people up to 100 people can show up,
Wow.
file them into breakout rooms, and there's no way we'll ever reach 100. But if people are
Yeah.
watching, we can literally send them into rooms of 3 to 5 people,
Yep.
give them a suggestion, and then just play for like 15 minutes. Without anybody watching, and it's literally a mixer where it's like you can it's so easy to randomize the teams on the table.
Yeah.
So we always add like second, third round. Let's add a gimmick. Like one of them is like someone had died and someone came back to life in every scene, or
Yeah.
someone only asking questions, or some people can only be a puppet. Or my favorite, which is the third round of like improvised blank blank blank, like Shakespeare or kaiju monster or
Yeah.
like Shirley Temple movie. I don't know. So like it was a spin-off of the jam where it's like it's still long form technically, but then just we were just thinking about like what people wanted and how to do it in a way where it's accessible by everybody, and also that time slot works for Europe too, which is
Yeah.
what some of our international friends coming in to play with us, because that time worked like in Asia, in Europe where it was a little bit later. um, we just did our first open mic. So it brought in Michael Harrison from Toronto, Canadian, but now in New York, I believe. We're piloting that, just finding different ways of like people want an outlet. So how do we give it to them? And it worked out pretty good. People did some stand up. I sang a song. It's not streamed, so there's a little bit of safety factor. Um,
That's really cool.
and then just like that's pretty much it for shows. But then like we started that Facebook group of like anybody can post, and there's like that's been a big topic lately of like, do we keep posting our stuff? Do we not post it? Um,
Yeah.
we've been trying, like, Interstate has been, but I've been listening to everybody and about like posting stuff. I've been banned from a couple of groups now.
What are you finding works and doesn't work? Like, that's something I've been definitely thinking about. Like, we don't have at Highwire, we don't have like a Facebook discussion group. We have like a Facebook page for the organization, but not like a place like yours where like people are posting stuff and they're having kind of discussions. And there's a number of different, Facebook groups that have kind of popped up or grown for that. And yeah, everybody's kind of doing it differently. Um,
Yeah. So what I've noticed is, and this is from like the fact that I've been traveling and then meeting people in that community, joining it, and then sometimes getting banned from it because now we're posting. And so I apologize to certain cities around the world. It's so I think the part of it is like if you set up that community, it's like what is its purpose? So
Yeah.
like, a lot of cities where like we don't care. We like the fact that people are advertising to us, so we have people in our community exposed to what's out there.
Yeah.
And there's me. I know I'll say it. Vintage Improv Festival with Mickey Manning.
Yeah.
Uh, s- uh, I don't know if Socially Distant Improv is posting as much. I think they were for a while. I know they're posting on Instagram, but just so their
Yeah. Yeah. They're very heavy on Instagram. Yeah.
yeah. So some Facebook communities are like we're all for it. Like send us stuff. Because we want our people to like enrich the stuff. Some groups don't care. Um, so they just no one's really doing anything about it.
Right.
Some are because of all this stuff activity, seeing it and they're like, why is our community not doing anything? And then all these people are doing other stuff. So
Yeah.
still focus on just the people that we're serving, which is a valid one.
Yeah.
So, which is another reason why I'm personally trying to scale back on how much I'm posting is to honor that, where it's like they're trying to rebuild their community. They don't want people posting stuff so much. Um, and that's the decision they made. So, but that's good because at least they're going in the direction of like, we want to support improv in our community.
Right.
And then there's the groups that are like, um, get out because this is, and I get it because like a lot of people are like, some people get frustrated when they go to certain Facebook groups and it's like all we see are advertisements. Now it's become a pool of stuff,
Right.
which is different before where it's like, because normally on like the sponsored side, it's like all these ads and they're paying for you to like watch the stuff. And now it's like improvisers doing the same thing where it's like, you've turned on us.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how much volume there's been on Facebook. Especially the last like 3 to 4 months with different people doing things as people are getting more comfortable with it. I'm curious, like I noticed like that you were posting, more broadly previously, and there's good reasons to kind of calibrate that. But like, how much did you find like it brought in new people doing that versus like word of mouth or other stuff?
Um, so in the great words of the person who used to teach me how to sell cooking cutlery to people, word of mouth is the best form of marketing.
Yeah.
Uh, so it brought in some people as far as like posting and stuff. Like recently we had a couple people from Ottawa that were generally interested. So we'll
Nice.
just from posting around, we'll get some people. It's really like the word of mouth is what's most important. So if something is a good quality on its own,
Yeah.
it's gonna sell itself just from basic like closing the sale.
Yeah.
So we'll get some people who are like I think part of it is like the initial wave of posting people is to try to find people from different cities to come in together.
Well, right. Yeah.
Then they tell their friends, and that's why I was hoping to happen. It's happening now, but it didn't happen as fast as I was hoping it would at the beginning. But now as we're finally getting close to 1,000 likes on our page. I think it's because people are appreciating the fact that we're still going.
Yeah.
And like it's more valuable where it's like if you have a thing or an organization that like people are proud of, which I'll go back to Pittsburgh because they're doing super cool stuff there, that you don't have to worry about so much, is that people who want to come will come, and then the people who are generally interested will find out because of other
Yeah.
people. They'll get to it. So now lately in the last couple of weeks I've decided I'm only posting just the stream every Sunday, and that's mostly for. I've realized some improvisers aren't that comfortable if they're doing a jam and they're streaming on Zoom. Some people like it because they're getting exposure; people can see it.
Yeah.
We're the headliner we pull in because it's not just the people in the room; it's the
Right.
people that just happen to catch and like, oh my gosh, I've never seen this team before. They're pretty cool. Like giving them like treating the people that were asking to play with us like kind of royal treatment about like we want to help you get out there.
Yeah, that's really resonates with me. Like we've been trying to think of, in this world where everything's kind of online and you don't have all of the, difficulty and cost about that. Like, how can we make the shows that we put up as close to like all of the good parts of the festival experience as possible? We want to make it super easy. We want people to get more out of coming to us than we get out of bringing them onto our stage, and just trying to figure out how do you do that? Like how do you make it like I like what you've done with kind of different levels of exposure. Like if you don't want to be seen, you can do the toast and jam and be in a breakout room and just have a place to do improv. And if you want to kind of continue putting yourself out there, there's these other places and you can be a headliner, that type of stuff. So I think we're all still trying to figure out that spectrum of versions of this.
I think it stems. So I'll hint this out for people who are listening. May or may not be working on a short form jam.
Ooh.
But I think the more than that is again, it goes back to community, kind of
Yeah.
listening to what people want and just yes-anding it. And and there's part of it where it's like a logistical thing. Like some people have been asking me recently about, hey, you have house teams now, which I can't believe. Like, here's a thing where in Vegas we had house teams for the theater and had that before.
Yeah.
We have house teams for inner city, which is ridiculous. It's like people are representing and like playing. It's like, oh my god, super cool. And
Yeah.
there are some logistical things that are a reason why things aren't moving as quickly, or like I want to do this but I'm not getting a response for it. I think it's a balance of like really paying attention and honoring what people are asking you to do, and then finding a way that you can balance yourself, that you can get a good product out there so they can appreciate it.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, it's like but it comes down from just like really listening and being very like transparent with the people that you're servicing or like you're interacting with, on top of having some kind of vision to just go for it.
Yeah.
So inner city is like uh for me it was like being in Vegas and not many people around, and like and there's a thing like, do I have to go to a place like the bigger institutions out of LA, Chicago, New York? I don't want to like name anyone specific, but I think a lot of
Right.
this, do I have to just adhere to what other people are doing, or can I just start my own thing?
Yeah.
I will call out someone, Elise Iovino, wonderful lady, wonderful girl. If I call
Yeah.
lady,
Elise.
we started doing a group with our friend Masha, like one time live, and then the pandemic hit, and then Masha at one point was starting all this improv on her own. So this girl Elise was just a beginner when I first met her. I think it was the second week of Intercity, like that first week of April.
Yeah.
And then now, so this Sunday she's doing a blue humor jam.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
So it's like the person who like again Michael Burkowski came up to me about like, I mean, I'm all for blue humor personally, but like, can you do it in a way that you can still ensure people's safety? I was like, I wasn't sure if Inner City was ready for that.
Yeah.
But him and then her, who basically started improv just online, just was like, let's just do it, and now she's starting her own jam. I think is incredible. Like if it, and I haven't seen her in a jam in a while on Sunday, but the fact that she's going out of her way to do her own thing, that's pretty remarkable. Like empowering people to just take action on their own, and like just and honoring what they want to do, doing it for themselves as opposed to waiting for somebody else to do it.
Yeah. I mean that ethos is absolutely on point, right? Like the barrier to start right now is so low, and whether you're just an individual trying to learn, you can go take workshops all over the world from your house. If you're a team, you can put yourself in shows all over the world and get yourself out there. And if you're a theater, you can, build yourself in this new world without having to pay rent. If you're starting now. And so, yeah, amazing opportunities for folks. That's really, really cool to hear.
Yeah, I think it's like um, like I know there's at least one other jam. There's a few jams I've been to now where I'm like, I know they started at the same time we did, but I also noticed a couple of jams are like, this looks really familiar to our format.
Yeah.
No, let them do their things. But I know there was one like
Right.
West Side, West Side, MI's West Side in Santa Monica. There was a couple of people who asked me about our format, and now they do a jam every other Saturday.
Nice.
The biggest thing was like they were modeling the way we were organizing people in the teams, and also just the fact that we talk about like we do a thing like sensitive band topics. Like this is the terms of like where we're trying to establish as a safe space for people.
Yeah,
They carry that into what they're doing. So it's like it's a little baby. It's not a baby jam. Like they're doing their own thing, but like we're glad that
but
we're.
it's kind of growing, and everyone's going to take some experiences from what they see elsewhere and build their own version of it. Yeah, it's funny, the high wire jams that we do on Sundays. We also do a similar thing where we do kind of an introduction with kind of a boundary discussion and stuff like that. Love to hear kind of some of the details about like what does that look like for the inner city jams? What do you cover? How has it changed as you've gone through 9 months of it now?
Yeah. I think yeah, 9, oh my god, 9 months.
I know.
I know we're at week 38, so it's 38 divided by 4 is like yeah, it is like 9. Oh my
I think
god.
we're finishing month 8. I know. Yeah, I shouldn't have said anything. Everybody just realized that day 267 or whatever.
You know what's funny? Like, I did another interview with Rich Baker, and then
Yeah.
we did it in like July, and then it's like it's been years, right? It's like no, we only
Nope.
saw him and Roland back in January at the Wasatch Festival in Utah, and it's
Yeah.
like not even been half a year yet. We
Yeah.
saw each other. Um, so as when we realized, I think it was when we finally called it the Inner City Jam,
Mm.
that there had to be some kind of ground rules.
Yeah.
Or no, part of it was like people were wondering like how we were organizing the teams.
Yep.
It used to be just me doing it. So random like I used to do a number, a randomizer number, like pick a number, someone's a name, here it goes. We have a fast way of doing it. So
Yeah.
the first thing was just establishing what that was. Um, Another thing was like at the time people were scrambling how to do musical improv on Zoom, and some people still think it's the magic of turn on original sound, which I haven't even done that. Turn on do these things on Zoom, and then you can do musical improv. What that does, it's all it does is just make your audio a little bit nicer, but that doesn't affect like the way that people are muting each other or the ability to sing the piano. So I threw
Right.
that in there, and then also I just asked everybody. I realized quickly, and this is kind of the benefit for me getting to travel, is like everyone's coming from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
Some people are in a city, like for example, like I kind of think Atlanta. I know for sure in Portland, where improv is for everybody. Like we're all from different backgrounds. We're serving underprivileged populations.
Yeah.
Things make us sensitive. Some places are like everything is comedy. Everything in comedy must be susceptible to be made fun of.
Right.
Like some people might get hurt from it. Which actually I believe in both of those. But I
Well,
really
right.
because we're all coming from different spots, like the fact that the Comedy Cube and Foursquare and Switch Left, they all have different names for this one, like basically the same game. We should probably have a thing of like, how do we come together? Let's talk about some rules. So we came up with tips for playing as a group. Like after a jam, I'd ask people like tips for a jam, and then coming up with sensitive topics, band topics. I
Yeah.
believe that's it. If I'm wrong, then someone's gonna message me later and we can fix that. But went to the community and it was like, or the people who were coming, I was like, we should probably establish something. What is it? And then people, so some of these things, like the people who used to come in the beginning, there's used to be a joke called spider clowns. And what it was is I set up a I put up a PowerPoint and I'm like, maybe we should have some sensitive or band topics. And then I put, for example, spider clowns. Just as like a weird facetious thing. So some
Yeah.
people who are like OG came at the beginning will just all of a sudden turn on a microphone in the middle of me talking and it'll go spider clowns and I'll freak out. But then also as we've learned the last few months, like actually those things talking about sensitive band are very serious because it's like some
Yeah.
people um true by that. So we took out spider clowns, got a little more serious about it. Um but again it came from just asking the community what they want. Just because it's like it would be weird if people from one city are playing in the same style as another city and they don't know how to communicate. Which
Right.
unfortunately we didn't address too much of that. Someone on Facebook just said "spider clown" and shout out. But it's like yeah, I think just having you don't have to necessarily play differently, but like have yeah, establishing at the beginning what are the boundaries, because we all don't know. Like, we don't want to do one thing in our city that's okay. I know, like, sometimes in our line games we get super blue that
Right.
will cringe in Vegas, so it's like we can't do that right now. I mean, we could attempt it if we set it up, but like I think it's better and safer, and we're just better comedians if we can come up with something to that effect without having to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it did start off with just the comedian saying that, and then we established it very early on that we actually got made fun of for how long the intro. I think it got to like 12, 15 minutes of just us talking at the beginning of here are the rules.
Yeah.
Someone from Pittsburgh was like, "Yeah, this is great, but this is so long, I get bored and I leave." And I'm like, "Really?" So we try to cut it down. We try to add to it, and
Yeah.
it based off of what the community was mentioning. I will say this as a side thing. Uh, Michelle Gilliam
Yeah.
met with her. She came to a jam and she suggested to us. They have a rule out of Huge Theater, I believe, the timeout rule.
Yeah. Yeah.
I even thought of before. Um, Basically, anybody for whatever reason can just say timeouts. I'm
Yep.
uncomfortable, and all you do is just swipe the scene.
Yep.
No questions asked. We'll probably follow up afterwards, like, "Hey, are you okay?"
Yeah.
And part of it's because it's like we don't know what make people uncomfortable. And some of us were actually talking at one point of like, is there a way to abuse that? I'm sure there is. But you can't like if someone I think there's a lot I think people experience that where it's like they're too scared of like if I make a decision of something, I will get judged or like get reprimanded or what do you call it, retaliated on.
Yeah.
So we established that because it's like
It's a big
some
challenge. Yeah.
in a scene might be uncomfortable with somebody else. So we have to give people that opportunity to just say it. It's not the thing where it's like we're gonna shut down the show and like blah because it's like we all are gonna burn in hell. I should probably for that. But it goes back to again helping people just be um, giving people the ability to even have a voice is
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. That's really great to hear. And it's, uh, I've obviously I've heard a lot of great conversations on this topic over the past few months in particular, but even going back a little while, and especially in a jam environment, especially we would always do jams and just remind people, just the simple fact that these are people you have no rapport with, you've never played with these people, and that alone kind of one makes tackling anything that's sensitive much more difficult, and you don't know what is going to be difficult for these people. One of the things we do, and we also as a result have a fairly long intro, is we go around and our groups are a bit smaller, but we actually have individuals kind of state their individual content and physical boundaries, which I know it's a little weird to do physical boundaries even though it's online, but it's more of just like getting in the habit of it's okay to say you have a boundary. And I love the idea of the timeout rule, and even just practicing that ahead of time, just so it's not weird the first time it happens.
Right. Yeah, because even sometimes of like sometimes just the slightest innuendo of things might be just some people cringy, but it also could be just a traumatic thing that there's no way a conversation could bring that up.
Right.
So
You just wouldn't expect it. Yeah. It's great to have that safety valve too. Like, and that, even just knowing that may make somebody more comfortable just being in the space.
right.
Very cool. Well, this is excellent. I really appreciate the conversation and getting to hear so much about what the journey has been so far. As we kind of wrap up, maybe tell us a little bit about one, where can we find you, where can we find Inner City, and what's kind of on the horizon for you and the group, in as much as anybody can plan anything right now.
Um, I will say this in the confidence that the we have a volunteer group and I love them very much. I
Yeah.
know I because of the personal traumas that I've had and like I teach kids all day. Um, yeah. So, anyways, there might be a festival coming up around our 1 year anniversary.
Okay.
There probably is. We just talked about it recently.
Nice.
For those interested, check out our website for a possible. It's actually not even a website. Let's be honest. It's not a website. It's just a domain that routes to our Facebook
To your
page.
Facebook. Yeah, I love that. In one place and one place only. It's great.
So things we're working on is like we try to start like an email group. Um, that kind of floundered because I got really busy. We are working on a website, and actually we're
Nice.
trying off of Highwires because it looks so nice.
Thank you.
But yeah,
Brian will be happy to hear.
want to find us, the easiest way is to go to www.intercityimprov.com.
Awesome.
Right now, it just routes to the Facebook page, but that's all you
Yeah.
really.
That's where everything is. Yeah.
So, I think it's tough because you can't really. So we're not really an organized organization yet, or like officially, like legally, we can't technically call
Right.
ourselves. But it feels like that. Like we just started an email address. People are referring to us as that. So we're just slowly kind of infrastructurally building some stuff. We're slowly bringing on more volunteers as the
Yeah.
people who are taking on bigger projects or they're all life's getting busy. So we're trying to give people opportunity to like lead. And even one of the people that just joined as of last week is now like, I want to run a show in January, and I'm like, my gosh.
Yes.
So support from other people, like you know what, go for it because it's like empowering. But yeah, looking at a couple of different types of jams coming up.
Nice.
Um, uh, Definitely looking out maybe a festival going. Um, we're always looking for more different types of teams. Specific to that short form, trying to find a way to reach out to more people internationally.
Yeah.
Uh, there's a team specifically in Tokyo. I was trying to talk to. I don't think they'll ever hear this, but like, man, I heard about this team. I like what they do, but they're in a weird time zone, so it's like, man, is there a way? And this is kind of a hint of what we're trying to do. Is there a way to also just have more teams play? Like someone in Florida was like, "Come to Inner City, you can play in a slot." And I'm like, "Cool, we're already booked." But it's like, man, that sucks. But like, there's got to be another way of like,
Yeah.
there might be a show coming up where there be um just teams playing and just broadcast out kind of what like this like season one's been like with Highwire, just to
Very
give
cool.
yeah another platform. And we're not trying to steal from other people. It's just more of like, here's an opportunity, take advantage of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's no stealing from anybody right now. There's infinite stage time. It's amazing.
We're all learning from each other, so why not?
Yeah.
The improv teachers do that anyways. Like we're all like we share with each other because we're bettering the community. Now, if we get a profit off of it, definitely give credit to where you got it from.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just like yeah, I think we only grow from when we talk to each other.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's a good note to end things on. Thank you so much for being our first guest. What a success. That was really instructive and helpful. And what a story.
Can I say one last thing?
Please. Yeah. Please.
So you had asked me before, like
Oh
name drop.
yeah. Yes.
I said a few people already, but I want it. There's two groups I want to say.
Great.
One is, and I'll try to keep this really brief. One
No.
is, I'm gonna name drop a bunch of people. Hopefully, someone in the chat will just type it. But there again, Inner City wasn't the first jam that started in March. There were a lot of things going on. So people like Aaron Shore, Andy Abramson, Donovan Santiago. Oh my gosh, Edison Villa, who created the master Google Calendar of every single jam known to man on a Google thing. If you find someone a friend of his and ask for it, and that's how I found Masha's improv thing. There's a
Oh
giant
wow.
somewhere with every single jam that he's been curating. Just this guy out of Connecticut, with new improv order. There's a bunch of people that it's not just us. Oh yeah, like Bill Arnett with Chicago Improv Studio was also doing
Yep.
right. Curious started recently. There's not just there's so many little ones that are yet to be discovered that are run by really good people.
Yeah.
That go to any one of these Facebook groups, you'll see somebody from there or ask an improviser who's been online and they'll probably heard of it. That's the first one. The
Nice.
second one I really wanted to plug was specifically this thing called the Pittsburgh Jam. That might not be the right name for it, but this is the jam I keep referring to,
Yeah.
and this is a beautiful thing, and I have to say it. Pre-pandemic, like maybe 20 or so years ago, every
Wow.
Thursday at 10 p.m. in Pittsburgh, there's a Greer Cabaret Theater, I think was the name of it. It's like a theater that's like I think partially subsidized by the local government. Every Thursday night, everyone from Pittsburgh who does improv comes together every Thursday night, and they do a long form jam.
Wow.
Headliner does like a quick set at the beginning, and then they randomly pull from for whatever number of jam teams, and it's Ben Amiri with a clipboard, asks for your name, asks for your skill level, and he randomizes on a clipboard. And then before the last set, everybody's allowed to come up and do an announcement of what's going on in their neighborhood. Which is if anyone's been to that, we always give time for people to say, "What are you doing?" Also,
Wow.
a chance to share, and that directly comes from Pittsburgh. The theaters, people in Pittsburgh improv community, specifically the two I know most are Arcade Comedy Theater,
Yeah.
City.
Yep.
They love their theater so much because they listen and they treat their people so well. But not even that, but the fact that the jam actually existed before any of those theaters started. It's because people from around the city, even or whatever, like University of Pittsburgh or the other theater, there's three other theater. I'm forgetting one of the names from it, but doesn't matter where you came from. You can come together in within the city, jam with everybody if you don't belong to that theater, and still get to share what you have. That's basically what inner city was modeled after, except it's not just Pittsburgh; it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Looking for really good, like I tell people in Vegas all the time, if you want to look for a good model for a theater, check out the Pittsburgh improv scene, and that's why I wanted to leave it at that.
That's
Because
fantastic.
I pull so much from it, and like I have to say, because I really appreciate them. When I did my first traveling for musical directing, I was doing stuff at Carnegie Mellon, so I
Yeah.
found, but they kind of accepted me as part of their community because I was going there for so often, and I really just appreciate. I wouldn't have done a lot of inner city if it weren't for me, and the fact that Pittsburgh improv kind of helped me get ideas or like just keep me involved in what they're doing every time I come out there.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, the history part that we get in so many of these conversations is just amazing. Like I am always blown away by the individual kind of relationships people have found, and then the community relationships that people have found. And Pittsburgh sounds like a fantastic model. I'm going to go learn more about that. That sounds really cool.
Sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and we would love to have you back on in a later episode. We might make this a panel thing at some point with multiple people, and as you start working on whatever comes next, whether that's the festival or email and website, love to talk through those things too. And thank you so much. Really appreciate you trying this out with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. Have a good night, everyone, from Highwire. Check us out online, highwireimprov.com/live for our YouTube channel and shows 7 nights a week. Come back tomorrow, see fun shows. Come back next week, 8 o'clock. We'll be talking with Christian Shear from Curious Comedy Theater in Portland, Oregon. Thank you. Oh, that's it.